I do have skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Rightio guys, so this is my motion for dismissal and motion for costs. Start off with the New Zealand Police versus my person as the defendant. CRI 207 004 005501. Motion for dismissal. I marked them. Enter this motion for dismissal on the following grounds. 1. For this matter to date, no facts and evidence have been supplied by New Zealand Police to the defendant to satisfy the criminal standard of beyond a reasonable doubt. 2. New Zealand Police, namely Miss V. Hicks, for the prosecution, failed to supply initial disclosure under the Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 Section 12(1) by 13th of July upon the defendant's first appearance to fairly and fully inform the defendant of the nature and cause of action alleged. Refer to Criminal Procedure Act 2011 Section 17(4). The defendant received Exhibits A, B, C, D, E and F on the 6th of June 2017 from an Inspector Kelly Ryan of New Zealand Police Infringement Bureau dated 30th of May 2017. 3. Furthermore, that the New Zealand Police, namely Sergeant Michael McMurtry, failed to supply full disclosure under the Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 Section 13(1) by 7th of November 2017 upon the defendant's second appearance to fairly and fully inform the defendant of the nature and cause of action alleged, failing Section 17(4) of the Criminal Procedure Act 2011 again. 4. The New Zealand Police Prosecution Service have failed to file a valid charging document under the Criminal Procedure Act 2011 Section 17(5)(a), as no provisions are noted, see Exhibit B. 5. In addition, under the Criminal Procedure Act 2011 Sections 13 and 16(2)(d) and 16(2)(f), procedures were not dealt with accordingly. 6. Rules under the Criminal Procedure Rules 2012 were not followed, as Rule 3.1 subsections A, no category was defined, B, no maximum penalty was defined, and D, no address for service or appropriate contact person for the prosecution were supplied. See Exhibit B within the charging document. 7. To add, as under the Criminal Procedure Rules 2012, Rule 2(1)(d) and Rule 2(1)(e) do not appear on the list of witnesses, see Exhibit P. Rule 2.2 subsection 1 also refer to Rule 2.2 subsection 2a, as this document is not in accordance with the Criminal Procedure Rules 2012 due to no date or author's signature being noted on this document. 8. The New Zealand Police Infringement Bureau failed to comply with the Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 Section 12 subsection 1a, as no summary of facts, see Exhibit S, were supplied to the defendant on the 6th of June 2017, as the defendant was not served by hand summary of facts until after the defendant's second appearance, adjourned at approximately 11 a.m. on 7 November 2017 by Sergeant Michael McMurtry, only 5 months late. 9. The New Zealand Police Infringement Bureau failed also to comply with the Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 Sections 12 subsection 1b, see Exhibit A, as within the cover note dated 30 May 2017, no right of the defendant to apply for further information under subsection 2 was noted. 10. The New Zealand Police Infringement Bureau failed again to comply with the Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 Section 12 subsection 1c, as no maximum penalty is defined, see Exhibit A, within the cover note dated 30 May 2017. 11. The New Zealand Police Infringement Bureau has also failed to comply with the Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 Section 12(1)(d), as no previous convictions were supplied to the defendant until 7 November 2017. Please note that these documents were created on the 25th of May 2017. See Exhibits U, V and W. 12. The photograph, see Exhibit F, supplied by the New Zealand Police Infringement Bureau, does not specify adequate measurement details such as kilometres per hour, nor can the defendant be identified within the still shot. 13. After 4 separate requests over 5 months for individual and specific documents such as witness list, criminal and traffic history, summary of facts, statements, licence status, instruments of authorisation, certificates of accuracy and competency, deployment register, and other evidence supporting the plaintiff's allegations dated 8th of May, 15th of June, 23rd of July and 3rd of October, the defendant finally received on the 11th of October from a sender unknown Exhibits G, H, I, J and K, namely 1 brief of evidence, 1 certificate of accuracy for Redflex radar equipment, 1 certificate of competency for QID KSDF 21, the deployment register for the police surveillance vehicle, registration plate number EUR591 on the 22nd of April 2017, QID KSFM 71, which still fails to satisfy either initial disclosure CDA 2008 section 12 subsection 1 or full disclosure Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 section 13(1), procedures and rules prescribed. 14. The brief of evidence, see Exhibit G, authored by is undated and unsigned. Refer to Criminal Procedure Rules 2012 Rule 2.2. This brief of evidence fails to list the instrument of authorisation, see Exhibit K, also supplied with it on that date, and does not mention either the defendant or the vehicle FAN 394 anywhere within its contents, nor does any accompanying document on that date reference the defendant's right to apply for further information under CDA 2008 sections 12 subsection 1b or Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 section 13 or Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 section 14. 15. The certificate of competency, see Exhibit I, and the deployment register, see Exhibit J, do not have matching QIDs. 16. Given the measurement of uncertainty stated on the certificate of accuracy, see Exhibit H, is plus or minus 1 km per hour, and the alleged speed was 94 something, and also given that the speed may also have been either 93 something or 95 something, a 33% probability does not satisfy the criminal standard of beyond a reasonable doubt that the alleged speed was 94 something. 17. The deployment register, see Exhibit J, also states aligned to lane. Given that multiple lanes are viewable within the photograph, see Exhibit F, there is insufficient information to specify which lane the detection device was aligned to. 18. As the defendant did not receive initial or full disclosure from New Zealand Police Prosecution Service, Sergeant Michael McMurtry had knowingly misled the court by stating that the defendant had received disclosure, knowing they had no facts to support this by way of a disclosure index POL 2124, see Exhibit T, redacted example only from previous matter, which to this date has not been supplied upon multiple requests. This document would certify disclosure being supplied to the defendant by whom and when. Sergeant McMurtry has indicated on the 14th of November via email under Criminal Disclosure Act 2013 Section 15 and Section 16 subsection 1N this document does not exist. Note, prior to reconvening at Courtroom 11 at 2:15 on November 7th, 2017, Sergeant McMurtry and Sergeant Horsley of New Zealand Police were overheard by a member of public stating, "He's got them, he's lying, we just can't prove it." In relation to this matter, according to the member of public, Sergeant Horsley stated he had rung Wellington to confirm disclosure had been sent and could not confirm this. The member of the public informed the defendant of this at the end of the proceedings on the 7th of November 2017. Given this information for Sergeant Given this information for Sergeant Michael McMurtry upon the court reconvening to state that the defendant had been sent disclosure, but for some reason he doesn't have it, note, unable to give exact phrasing as transcript has not been supplied for the 7th of November hearing by the registry upon requests, it would appear both Sergeant McMurtry and Sergeant Horsley have conspired to continue to unlawfully prosecute the defendant without following due process of law, thus misleading the court and causing a miscarriage of justice. Refer to Criminal Procedure Act 2011, Section 379. Also refer to the Crimes Act 1961, Section 108, Subsection 1, Crimes Act Section 116, Crimes Act Section 66(2), and the Crimes Act Section 259, Subsection 1, by failing to comply with rules of court procedures and regulations set out. 19. The certificate of particulars, page 1, for FAN 394, see Exhibit L, shows 2 registered owners. Therefore, a 50% probability does not satisfy the criminal standard of beyond a reasonable doubt. 20. The list of witnesses, see Exhibit P, created by Sergeant McMurtry post 7 November 2017, is undated and confirms that a witness list did not exist prior for it to be supplied as stated by Sergeant McMurtry during court. Furthermore, Exhibit P has noted for hearing at Auckland District Court on 9 February 2018, a date not ascertained until the 7th of November 2017 as a future fixture date for this continuing matter. In conclusion, after spending in excess of 100 hours studying and researching legislation along with preparing documents, a fatal flaw has revealed itself within the infringement process, to which notification has been sent to Honourable Stuart Nash, Minister of Police, Mike Bush, Commissioner of Police, and Chris Pink, Helensville Electorate, to which acknowledgement has been received. Put simply, due to requesting a hearing only 2 days after receiving the initial infringement notice, Step 1, no reminder notice, Step 2, under the Summary Proceedings Act 1957, Section 21, Subsection 2b, had been created or issued. As the reminder notice has the provisions allegedly offended against noted on it, these details are then transferred to the charging document, notice in respect of an infringement offence, Step 3. As Step 2, the reminder notice never happened, the initial infringement notice has no provisions noted, and therefore no provisions were transferred to the charging document, causing the charging document to be invalid and causing Steps 3, 4, 5, etc. to all fall down. This, along with the apparent incompetence and ignorance of the New Zealand Police and the Police Prosecution Services that chose to ignore the defendant's repeated requests as to be fairly and fully informed to the alleged offence made by New Zealand Police, with the intent and wish to make the voluntary and knowing and willing plea. As the defendant was not afforded information which the defendant has rights to, the defence files this motion for dismissal with prejudice and seeks costs as a successful defendant under Costs in Criminal Cases Act 1967, Section 5.1, Section 5.2a, Section 5.2b, Section 5.2g, and Section 5, Subsection 5. And appropriate motions for costs shall also accompany this motion for dismissal. The defendant wishes to thank the court for its consideration afforded to the above grounds for dismissal in advance. For the hearing set for the 9th day of February 2018 at Auckland District Court. And copies supplied to M. McMurtry, Prosecutor for New Zealand Police, via email on the 8th of the 1st, 2018. Copy supplied to the Registrar of Auckland District Court on the 8th of the 1st, 2018 via email. Legislative references within Criminal Disclosure Act 2008, Criminal Procedure Act 2011, Criminal Procedure Rules 2012, Crimes Act 1961, Summary Proceedings Act 1957, Costs in Criminal Cases Act 1967. Exhibits, it's quite a list of them. and then I have all of the exhibits to go with it. And that is my motion for dismissal. So yeah, quite a lengthy one, huh? 20 points, or errors. Now, the motion for costs as a successful defendant. I marked into this motion for costs as a successful defendant in accordance with Costs in Criminal Cases Act 1967, Section 5 and 7. Additionally, in accordance with Costs in Criminal Cases Amendment Regulations 2013, Schedule 1. 1. For the hearing which the defendant attended on 13th July 2017 at Auckland District Courthouse, Courtroom 2, with H. Judge T.M. Black presiding, the defendant set costs prescribed within the Costs in Criminal Cases Amendment Regulations 2013, Schedule 1, Part 1A, Subsection 1, of $226. 2. For the hearing which the defendant attended on the 7th of November 2017 at Auckland District Courthouse, Courtroom 11, with Honourable Judge Nicola Mathers presiding, the defendant set costs prescribed within the Costs of Criminal Cases Amendment Regulations 2013, Schedule 1, Part 1A, Subsection 1, of $226. 3. For the hearing today, which the defendant is present on 9 February 2018 at Auckland District Courthouse, Courtroom Unknown, with H. Judge Nicola Mathers presiding, the defendant seeks costs prescribed within the Costs of Criminal Cases Amendment Regulations 2013, Schedule 1, Part 1A, Subsection 1, of $226. Under Costs in Criminal Cases Act 1967, Section 5.1, the defendant would accept any such sum the court may think reasonable and would, under Sections 5.2a, 5.2b, 5.2c, 5.2d, and 5.2g, wish to bring to the court's attention the following grounds. A. The prosecution had not acted in good faith to continue the proceedings due to multiple failures of due process of law. See 20 points listed within the accompanying motion for dismissal. B. The prosecution had failed to supply either initial and or full disclosure to the defendant by the applicable dates mentioned above. C. The charging document appears invalid due to no provisions being noted on the document. D. The prosecution had failed after multiple requests by the defendant to provide sufficient evidence to support the allegation against the defendant and failed to fairly and fully inform the defendant of the nature and cause of action of these proceedings. E. It is construed unreasonable and deemed improper to proceed any further by the defendant. 5. In addition, a total in excess of 100 hours was spent by the defendant researching, studying and preparing documents for this matter. The defendant seeks compensation of $1,500 or similar sum the court may deem appropriate for this matter. The defendant wishes to thank the court for its consideration afforded to the above grounds to seek costs as a successful defendant for this matter. Total costs sought: first appearance $226, second appearance $226, third appearance $226, research, study and preparing documents 100 hours, $1,500. Total 2,178. For the hearing set for the 9th day of February 2018 at Auckland District Court, copies supplied to Eminent Military Prosecutor New Zealand Police via email on the 8th of January 2018, and copies supplied to the Registrar of Auckland District Court on 8th of the 1st 2018 via email. Legislative references within the Costs in Criminal Cases Act 1967 and Costs in Criminal Cases Amendment Regulations 2013. So that's what I prepared, and yes, this is all for an $80 ticket, which is now turning out to be a maximum penalty of $1,000. So the amount of errors that the New Zealand Police have committed, breached, the processes, procedures, rules, regulations that they haven't followed is fucking astounding. And all I did was read the rules and then forensically go through every piece of evidence they supplied me and found what was wrong with each of them. So it's called due diligence, people. So yeah, that's the motion for dismissal. I hope you guys all enjoyed. We'll let you know how it all gets on in the following parts to come. See you then. Bye.